And let's go ahead and we'll get started. Just a second. All right. I hope everybody is having a great Sunday. Alexa, volume 3. All right, you guys. So, for tonight's class, we're actually going to start on our feet. Okay. All right, so we're going to start up on our feet tonight. If at any time the music gets too overpowering, just let me know and I can turn it down. So go ahead and just come on up onto your feet. All right, so let's go ahead and just start with a couple little ankle rolls, okay? Scoot this back a tiny bit so you guys can see my whole body. So just take one ankle, kind of dig your toes into the mat and give it a nice circle around. And then take it the other direction. And switch to the other side. Just circling that big toe on the carpet. And switch directions. Good. Okay. I want to go ahead and get those quads a little bit right here standing. I think it just gives us a little bit better stretch when we can be standing. So if you need to hold on to something, a wall, maybe the side of the bed or a chair, go ahead and do that. All right. So right here, I want you to go ahead and square your hips to the front, line your knees together, and pull yourself up nice and tall. Making sure you're not dropping the weight into that hip. Okay, pick it up. Square your hips off. So from the side here, so I'm not bringing it way back. It's not forward, it's just straight down. And to get a deeper stretch in the front of that leg, you can go ahead and press your foot into your hand slightly. Big, full, deep breaths here. Feel the stretch, okay? Feel the intensity and stay with that intensity. Okay, give me 2 more deep breaths right here. Gently, gently, gently press that leg down. Okay, same leg that you just had up in your hand. Go ahead and kick that leg forward. Dig the heel in and hinge forward at those hips. All right, there's a slight bend. We're not locking that knee out. And just go ahead and slide that hand down as far as you can go. Giving that foot a nice little flex, so pulling those toes up. If you can, go ahead and grab onto those toes. Feel the intensity in the hamstring and the calf. And then breathe deeply through it. Good, now go ahead and let the toe touch down onto the ground. Shift the hips back a little bit farther if you can. And lean into it. Now that same leg that we're working, go ahead, take a nice stride out, straighten that leg, point both of your toes forward, and sink in to that leg, stretching that inner thigh. If you can and it's comfortable, go ahead and press your hands down into that floor. If this is uncomfortable or you're feeling a lot of pressure in this knee, you can also do this stretch from the floor on that opposite leg. All about that inner thigh right here. Good. Go ahead and come on up. Bring those feet together. And just give it a nice little shake. Okay, other leg. Go ahead. Bring that heel right up to those glutes. Give me a nice tall posture right here. Lining the knees. Squaring your hips to the front. And remember to try to not sink in to the standing hip. Pull up. Pull yourself tall, like somebody is pulling you up from the tip top of your head. Remember, for a more intense stretch in that quad, press your hand in, your foot into your hand a little bit. 2 more big deep breaths here. Good. Ooh, and with that leg, same leg we just stretched, dig that heel into the floor and hinge back. Push your hips back, tip forward with that nice straight spine. Think about getting your chest to come down to the knee, not rounding like this, but keeping it nice and straight. Reaching that hand down towards your toes, maybe grabbing on. Feel the intensity and give me 3 more deep breaths. Full belly breaths. And now let those toes drop down to the carpet. You might feel that you can hinge those hips back slightly, kind of take your weight a little further back. And intensify the stretch. Never pressing on that front knee. Good. Stand up with that same leg that we were just stretching. Straighten that leg out and drop into the hips to the side. Both toes are facing forward. It's all about the inner thigh right here. We will get to the hips, I promise. Focusing on that inner thigh. Remember, if this is uncomfortable, come down onto that leg and kind of hinge up so the bottom of my foot is kind of facing away from me right here, but the toes are still facing forward. Relax the muscle. And just right here with those legs apart, square your weight off over the front and reach for that ground. Sticking that tailbone up in the air, keeping that back nice and flat, toes facing forward. Good, and walk those feet in toward each other. We have one more standing stretch tonight. So I want you to take your right hand and your right foot. Your right foot is going to cross behind your left, and your right hand is going to come up and over. Okay, and you are going to bend toward that leg that's in the back. All right, so if your right leg and a right arm, okay, they're both crossing the body, and you're pushing your hips, focusing on the stretch all the way down the oblique, down to that knee muscle, the muscles around your knees. Good, slowly come up, cross your left leg behind this time, and your left arm comes up and over toward that right side, using that other hand to kind of push those hips out, making a nice big C shape to our body. Good, and come on up. All right, let's slowly and gently make our way down to the floor. All right, team. Cords and cables. Okay. I want you to start in a nice, just kneeling position right here. Okay, if this is not comfortable for you, go ahead and sit down on your bottom with your legs crisscross. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and just kind of roll those shoulders up and down. Really squeeze the shoulder blades together when you're in the back of the move. Okay, now I want you to hold those shoulders back and down and open up your chest. All right, so those shoulder blades are squeezing together, opening up that chest and slightly looking up toward the ceiling. I really want you to try to pull those arms back as far as you can, opening up your chest. This is a great one for most of us that are typing all day, sitting down, hunched forward. Okay, now drop those hands back behind. Grab your hands if you can and pull those shoulders back again, opening up your chest a little bit more. Feeling the stretch in a slightly different place, maybe even getting a little bit of the front of the arm with this stretch. Again, gently release that stretch. Go ahead and come down onto those hands. Fingertips are facing forward, so your palms are just flat on the ground. And I want you to give me a little bit of forward pressure on those wrists, just a little bit. Remember, no pain, just a nice little stretch. Okay, now turn, the palm is still on the ground, but the fingertips are facing your knees. Now put a little back pressure this time. Stretching out the forearms. Okay, now turn the fingertips facing away, and this time you're just going to take one hand at a time, and you're going to flip that wrist, okay? So the palm on one side is up, fingertips facing the knees, and gently, gently, gently put a little bit of pressure down, not your entire body weight, okay? Just gently stretch that wrist. Feel it in the forearm a little bit. And switch to the other side. That back wrist. Nowhere near all of your weight on these hands. Okay, now right here, I want you to go ahead and press those fingertips together. We've already kind of stretched out our palms and our wrists. Press, press, press those fingertips together. And the thumbs, all right? Stretch those thumbs, press them together. And just shake out the hands, roll up those wrists. All right, let's go ahead and do a little bit of a shoulder stretch here. So go ahead and pull across. So I really want you to think about this arm as a rag doll, okay? Pulling that arm across, barely any tension in this arm. And it's gonna let you get really deep into that shoulder stretch. Okay, big, full, deep breaths. 2 more. Okay, gently. We never want to really kind of rip our arms or any of our body out of a stretch. We want to take it just as easy as we get into it. Right? A lot of times there's a lot of tension on the muscles when we're stretching them like this. And if we release too quickly, it can cramp, it can hurt, it can strain. So take your time easing out of these stretches. Okay, pull that arm just a little bit deeper. The more you're able to relax the arm you're stretching, the deeper you're going to be able to get into that stretch. Good, and go ahead and gently release that. Let's give it a little neck roll here from one ear to the other. Just a nice little half circle, staying in that front half. Good, and keep it over to one side. Bring your ear down to that dropped shoulder. So don't lift the shoulder up, relax that shoulder down. And really dropping the opposite shoulder. You can even kind of press down with that hand a little bit. Good, and give me a half circle to the other ear and press. Press that ear down to that shoulder. And even extend out the opposite arm. Good, and gently bring it back. Give me a couple nods, big nods up and down. And then side to side. Shake your head no. Good, and right there. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and straighten out these legs, because if you're like me, sitting on my knees for that long, my horrible circulation makes my feet go to sleep. Okay, Actually, we're gonna face this way. We're gonna put those palms, the heels together. Palms of the feet, yeah, maybe, sure. Okay, so we already stretched those inner thighs a little bit, but we're gonna get a little deeper into it and more into the hips with that inner thigh stretch. All right, so bringing those heels in slightly, okay, and pressing the knees out to the sides. All right, so actively try to get those knees down to the floor. Big, big deep breaths right here. Good. Now, release that a little bit. Take the feet out slightly farther. You might not have to do this. I have to take my feet out away from my body a little bit to be able to kind of sit without tipping back. If I have my feet pulled in like this and I let go, I'm really rounded, okay? And I'm kind of far back on my sit bones on my butt. So I want you to take your feet out so that you can be up nice and high on those sit bones, okay? Fully supported without having to hold on with your hands. And this time I want you to go ahead, grab your shins and press your knees down into that floor. Like I said, if you're more flexible, you may be able to keep those legs tucked in and do this at the same time. Okay. Another thing that we can do here is focus on one leg at a time. Okay, opening up that knee. We're doing both at the same time, pressing those legs open. Good, and then last stretch here, I want you to go ahead and grab back onto those feet and try to pull your chest down. Okay, so the first time we were trying to press the knees down. Second time we were kind of focusing a little deeper. This time I want you to pull your forehead down toward those toes. Feeling the hips a little more in this one. All the while trying to keep those knees pressed open. Two more deep breaths here. Good. Okay, now gently on this one, okay? If you do this one too much, you can start to get some cramping in here. So pull those knees up, just let those legs relax as you close them. Okay, we are going to shift to one side. I want you to go ahead and take that leg, tuck it into a pigeon pose, all right? So that foot is gonna tuck at a 90 or a 180. It's gonna be right underneath. We're gonna lift our body right up over that bent knee and that ankle with a straight leg out behind us. And we're gonna lean over that front leg. Okay, so right here. So a lot of times we do this stretch right here, but I want us in full pigeon pose tonight if you can, okay? Shifting the hips up, shifting that weight on top of the leg, straightening out that back leg and taking it down as far as you can. Kind of shifting your weight around, feeling that hip opening up. Good, and now to get a little more into that hip, the knee can come up And we are going to come into that 90 degree with the front leg and bend and take the middle of your chest down to the middle of your knee and just hinge forward. So with my foot out more like this at the 90 degrees, I feel my glute a lot more than I do in that full pigeon pose. If you need a deeper stretch, you can straighten that back leg. It's going to give you more intensity in that glute. Whatever you're doing, just don't fight the stretch. Release the glute muscle. I know we are all clenching right now. Release those muscles and just let them melt into the floor. All right, remember, your butt is like a bag full of sand, and we're gonna poke tiny little holes, and that sand is just gonna melt out onto that floor. And your muscle is going with it and just sinking in to that mat. All right, with that same foot forward, I want you to come up onto your back knee, and with a big stride forward, I want you to open up your hips. So this one isn't about leaning forward or anything. It's about lifting up into a nice big posture, and you're trying to drive your back hip down through the floor, opening up that hip flexibility. Good. Now, and if you are here and you feel like you need a little more intensity, you can put your hands on the inside of that front foot and try to drop down to the elbows. I'm good up here. Good. Slowly come up on out of that. All right. Starting this one. Okay, other leg. Go ahead and pull into that pigeon pose. So pull that heel all the way in towards your hips. Roll your body and your hips up on top of that leg. Straighten the back one out and reach forward. Should be feeling a little bit of glute, a little bit of hip, and a little bit of hamstring possibly right here. Kind of shift your weight a little side to side, feeling the different positions and what they're stretching. Good. Go ahead and roll off of that leg. Bring that foot up to 90 degrees with a nice little flex in it. Bring that other leg up. I never want tension on the back knee, okay? So I don't want you kind of halfway here with a lot of pressure on that knee. It's either all the way up here or straightened back out behind you, okay? Middle of your chest comes down to that knee. And right here, really let that hip muscle Sorry, one of my kids left their phone in here. Remember, you have that option to straighten the leg behind you. We're going to be here a little while longer, so really focus on releasing that glute muscle. How do we do that? We hit that intensity on the stretch and we breathe deep and try to release any tension in the muscle. Right, you give me 3 more big deep breaths here. Good, and when you are ready, come up onto that back knee. Big stride forward with the front leg. Driving that back hip down through that floor or that mat. If you have very flexible hips, maybe you can even, I didn't even think about this before because you can even slide if you can, do the splits right here, maybe, or dropping those elbows down from the inside of that leg. Okay. Okay, really focusing on opening up the hips. Two more big deep breaths. Really try to release that hip muscle. Good, and release. All right, you guys, we have a little bit more. I want you to go ahead and lay down onto your back. We're going to go ahead and try to stretch out our IT band a little more right here. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys from this side. I did not grab mine, but if you have your band nearby, sometimes it's helpful for stretching the IT band. I didn't even think about that in the beginning. So if you don't have it, don't worry. Stretch is still going to work. So you're going to go ahead and lay back, take one foot up in the air, and cross it over your midline. All right. Now, you should not have to go very far to feel the intensity. And where you should be feeling the stretch is the side of your leg. So the side of that glute, the side of your hip, the side of your calf, and the side of your knee. So right here, bottom leg can be bent or straightened, whatever feels best. Sometimes people tell me this one feels pretty awkward because we really don't stretch out the side of our leg very much. So remember, no pain, just the intensity. Good, and release. Other side, bring that leg up and cross it over the midline. So we don't want it, we want gravity working to pull that leg across. If anything, what you're doing to help is to make sure the leg doesn't fall toward the bottom of your body. You're kind of trying to pull it in and up toward your face a little bit, if anything. Okay, if not, just let gravity work for it right here. pressing through that heel. Give me 2 more deep breaths here. Good, and gently release that leg. All right, you have a few options right here. We're gonna do a little more stretching the back of our legs, okay? You can just straighten the legs out here and reach for those ankles. What I'm gonna do is go ahead and lay on my back and pull both of those legs in toward my chest and let gravity help me out a little bit right here. Grabbing behind the calves or behind the legs, never behind the knees. We don't want to pull on our joints. Soft knees. And not much difference to these two stretches, just one, the legs are falling with gravity, and the other one, the top of your body is falling to the legs with gravity. Big, full, deep breaths here. I'm not really pointing or flexing my feet. I'm just kind of letting them fall. One more deep breath, pull them a tiny, tiny bit farther. Bend those knees and go ahead and just hug those knees into your chest. And let's give that lower back a nice little stretch out. We're going to do 2 stretches for the back, and that's going to be about it for tonight. Rock gently side to side, massaging that lower back. And I want you to take your knees and let them both just fall to one side of the body. Feeling that lower back stretching out right here. Keeping the shoulder blades firmly on the ground. To intensify the back stretch, you can pull the knee on the top up toward your chest a little bit. One more big deep breath here. And come back to center. You want to take these back stretches really slow. And take those knees, drop them across the body. Woo. If you want a more intense stretch, you can bring that top knee up toward your chest a little bit. I'm feeling a lot of tension on this side of my back. So I'm struggling to take my full deep breaths. So if you can't take your full deep breaths, relax the stretch. Maybe come out of it slightly. Find the point where you can take those deep breaths and then maybe try again. Easing your body into it, so important. Gently bring them back to center. And one more time, give me a nice little rock side to side. Ooh, and a little bit of popping. All right, let's go ahead and come to one side and press yourself up and come onto those knees and those hands. We're gonna do some cat-cow stretches and some C curves. All right, so go ahead and just round that upper back. Press those palms into the ground and drive your body away. Open up those shoulder blades. Separate them apart from each other. Let that head drop. Release and give me a nice big arch to that back. Looking up. Opening up the core. Good. Go ahead and round one more time for me. And to a neutral spine right here, go ahead and look one direction. Your butt should be sticking out toward that same direction, but the middle of your body is curving away. So you're making a C shape with that body. Other side. Good, so from the center right here, I'm looking one direction and my hips are coming the same way. Other side. And a little quicker. 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, switch. Switch. And let's end it right here in a nice child's pose. Taking those knees, separating them out slightly, sitting the hips back down onto your feet, actively stretching your arms forward and pulling your chest down toward the ground. And let's stay here for just about 30 seconds. If you want a little more of a hip and inner thigh stretch, you can separate those knees a little bit farther and the bottoms of the feet, okay, while you're stretching forward. If you feel any tension anywhere, actively try to release it, okay? Go ahead and give me 4 more deep breaths here. When you are ready, nice and gently come on up and just check in with that body. If anywhere is feeling tight or crampy at all, just kind of move your body around, okay? Lube up those joints a little bit. All right. Well, I hope you all had a wonderful weekend, and I hope this kind of is getting us ready for the week ahead. A couple of us might have kids starting school this week, which we really don't want to think about. So, but if they are, and they're starting Wednesday like mine, we're gonna need this class Wednesday night. So I hope I will see you guys again on Wednesday night. And I have Pop Pilates tomorrow at noon and Barre Tuesday at 9 if you guys want to join me for those. So yeah, plenty of opportunities, you guys. So thank you again and have an amazing night. Sorry I popped on a little late tonight. But yeah, and I recorded this one, so if you guys you know, want access to this one, or you know somebody who couldn't be here, just let me know. All right. Thank you guys so much. Have an amazing night.